knew we had to do. People have to understand this. I've had this conversation with lay people, guys, that even if they had won the championship, if we were talking about a team that has just had another parade, they still would have to do what they're doing, more or less, because it's about the dreaded second apron. The amazing thing is how quickly he struck, but it tells me that obviously he knew what was going to happen, and he was making his plans and putting out his feelers and making his calls and sniffing around to see who was interested in his two guys, and we knew it was going to be those two guys to start. And we're not saying he's done, but this is Brad once again, I think, showing us that he knows what he's doing. I think he does.
I think he knew he had to do it quick because the options might be more and more limited after the draft. I think that's what he felt like at this point, is like, because once the draft happens, he didn't know what else. Now, there weren't a lot of fireworks. We'll get to that in a few here, with players being traded during the draft, NBA players. There were a lot of draft trades within picks, but I think he was smart in kind of getting ahead of it, doing it quickly. We applauded the Drew Holiday trade, because frankly, he got rid of Drew's contract, and Drew's getting older. We know that. And he got a decent young player in Anthony Simons, who's talented. And honestly, on this Boston team next year, if they keep him, I mean, he could average 15 a game and they could maybe flip him again. So I like that one. And we could start there if you want, Gary, of, that trade unto itself. And I think that was a big one because Holiday's getting older. He wasn't the same player. We know that. Portland needed an adult in the room. We'll forever be grateful to Drew Holiday for what he did in Boston in a short period of time in helping to really turn around the franchise, because he was that adult in the room that Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum really needed. And I thought it was a good haul because they didn't have to give up a pick either.
I agree, and I was pleasantly surprised to get Simons. He caught my attention this year, a 40-pointer here and there, maybe. But I understand the pluses and minuses. He's not known to be any kind of a defender, but he's still too young. He's still young enough to learn. He's an offensive, I won't say machine, but guy, and he fits the mold. If they're going to insist on being a 3-point centric team, then he'll be happily join into that. So I think they did very well, considering that they had they were doing a trade under duress, and everybody knew it, and so I think he did very well on paper. I'm very pleased with what he did.
You say they win the championship, Tatum's healthy, and they decide to keep the band together. Say they do pay the money. Well, no, they say they pay the money.
Oh, they're not going to pay. The new ownership isn't going to pay. They were going to make these moves, I think.
Now, I did read a quote, and it could be lip service because they didn't have to pay. But the quote was that if they had won the championship, it could have been a different story.
I mean, I guess, the other part of this is with Porzingis, you kind of wanted to get rid of him now.
Right.
Because at this point, like you didn't. You didn't because his value, his trade value was at its absolute lowest. So that was hard to watch. They didn't get anything for him. They gave him away. On the other end, it's like, well, how much can you take? He's always hurt. He's hurt in the playoffs 2 years ago. He can't play. This time he's sick with this kind of mystery illness. Right. So on one hand, you're like, you know what? Like, we got to get rid of him. We got to get him off the books. I don't know. I mean, I think no matter what, they were going to break it up. Maybe they would have traded one and not the other if they won the whole thing. But I think they still would have had to make a move.
Yeah, I think so too. Maybe they keep Holiday. I don't know. Maybe it was just a convenient thing to say because it was no longer an option. I mean, when Tatum went down, that was it. So, how about as the team is constituted right now? Because Tatum's hurt and the trades that they made, I mean, Bob, do we know anything different? I mean, they made these deals, and Holiday wasn't himself. To me, his better years are behind him. We saw Porzingis wasn't healthy, and you don't have Tatum. So even though that they've made these deals that help them financially, does it have any impact on what they can do on the floor next year?
Right now, until we have to take a deep breath and see if there's anything else is going to transpire, that the Brad doesn't have something else somehow, some way cooked up, to enhance the roster or one way or the other. Right now, I'm resigned to the idea. It would be a thrill, ticker tape parade to make the playoffs next year. In this, given the nature of some of the opponents that they're what they have done and how they're going.
Has Bob looked at the East? Wait, hold on, Bob. Bob, come on. I get it. They lost. They're going to lose 3 of their top 5 guys. I understand that. They still have 2 fringe all-stars, 2 guys who, are in the top 25 players in the NBA, in Jaylen Brown and Derek White. They don't have a big right now on their roster, really, but. They have Tillman and Cada.
Well, Jeff, I understand, of course. You're making sense. And I'm just speaking from the viewpoint of a professional pessimist. And I believe, a pessimist is an optimist with experience. And that's a
great quote. That's a great quote. I've never heard you say that, Bob.
Far healthier for my mental health to think low and be pleasantly surprised than to have exalted thoughts of grandeur and be bitterly disappointed. So I'm aiming low, and I will be thrilled personally, and I'll stick with this. And see me at Thanksgiving, then see me at Christmas. We'll see how it's going. Right now, looking at the abstract before they play the game, and anybody else has played a game, I'm saying that if they make the playoffs next year, as I sit here on this date in late June, I'll be very happy. Period. I don't expect and think that people should want any more out of this group right now. That's what I think.
Well, I want them to become the little engine that could. I want them to become, a fiery bunch. I don't think they can sit back and just launch threes. I think they're going to have to change their style somewhat. And maybe they could become a team for. I just hope they're entertaining. Again, just be entertaining. Like, don't just, and I don't think they will. I don't think the coach will allow it. And the players have a sense of pride. I mean, certainly Jaylen Brown does. But, still give the fans something to cheer for,
Oh, of course. I won't remotely dispute that. And I'm just saying, I just think there's no way you're a contender. So let's forget that.
Well, yeah,
It's a matter of being competitive and entertaining. I agree with you. Those 2 things, it's competitive and entertaining. That's the goal for me. I don't know what management really believes or what they think is attainable right now, but that's the way I'm looking at it.
I mean, the question is who's at the 5? Like, that's the major question, because Pritchard's going to play a lot. Derek White, Jaylen Brown, they're going to play a lot. Simon's going to play a lot. So those four guys are going to split, all the minutes at the really at the 1, 2, 3, right? Now the 4, if you keep it Hauser, I assume he's going to play a good amount. But right now, again, you've got Xavier Tillman, you've got Neemias Queta, and you just drafted Amari Williams from Kentucky in the 2nd round. So you've got 3 backup bigs at this point. And Luke Cornett's a free agent. Al Horford, I would assume, will retire at this point. And Porzingis is gone. You've got nothing up front, and you don't have money. It's not like you can just say, hey, we're going to go out and get, go get a starting big in the NBA. I mean, does that kind of put it in a spot where maybe you have to make another trade because you need somebody at the 5 spot right now? So do you look to trade Hauser? Do you look to trade Simons for a 5 or Pritchard? I wouldn't trade Pritchard because his contract is unbelievable right now.
Yeah, you can't trade Pritchard. No.
I don't know I like him, but I don't know what the market is for Hauser. And he is maybe expendable now that you've got Niang, who's kind of the same guy to a degree, except he's older. But I don't know what the market, what market value that Sam would have. I like his contribution this year, and I'm happy to have him around. But I don't know what the rest of the world really thinks about him. And the guy, Cornette, I thought had a terrific year for who he is, but I realize he's not an an elite starting center. But he still has a role for somebody. If it's not for here, I just don't know how much, whether someone.
If you have to start Luke Cornett, is this fair? If you have to start Luke Cornett, you're in major trouble.
Yeah, and we'll see if someone wants to overpay, which they will if they get him. I would think the Celtics would want him back, but they want him back in the same capacity that he served, and not to try to kid yourself that as you just implied, that he's a starting center. But he's a useful cog to a good team. Frankly, I think he's a better player than most people realize. He certainly fooled me, because I've only not really taken note of him. I've been aware of his existence on this earth from afar, and this year, seeing up close and personal, particularly, I came to appreciate what he brings to the table. But it's a limitation to what that is, of course.
Okay, we'll get back to Bob and Jeff in just a minute. PrizePicks, the best place to turn your sports knowledge into cash. With millions of members, PrizePicks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less. On at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 2,000 times your cash. So run your game all season long on PrizePicks. PrizePicks invented the flex play, which means you could still cash out of your lineup. If it isn't perfect, you can double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. And PrizePicks puts their members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. When your picks hit, you can get your money in as quick as 15 minutes. So it's baseball season, right? So that's what we're picking right now. That's what we're looking at. So Ohtani, more or less than 7 strikeouts. Which way are you going on that? Aaron Judge, more or less than 3 RBIs. Where you going on that? Make your picks, more or less. It's that easy on PrizePicks. So download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, run your game. Now let's move on to the draft. No surprise with Cooper Flagg. Do you have any thoughts on that, Jeff?
I mean, he's the most complete. And when I say that, I mean the fewest weaknesses of any player, college basketball player, that I have seen come into the NBA in the last 20 plus years. Okay, since I've been doing this.
20, okay.
That doesn't mean he's the best player. It doesn't mean he's the best shooter.
No, I get it.
Or the best rebounder or the best. He's none of those. He's not the best at any of them. But there's nothing this kid doesn't do well. There's nothing this main product doesn't do well. He scores. He rebounds. He passes the hell out of it. He defends in the perimeter. He defends in the post. He plays hard all the time. He has a high basketball IQ. He's a great team player. You name it. His perimeter shot got better. That was the one area that I was worried about coming into the season at Duke, but he shot like 38% from 3. He works, man. He works. He doesn't complain. He just, man, if Kyrie is healthy and you throw Kyrie, AD, and Cooper Flagg out there come second half of next season and into the playoffs, Dallas fans are going to like this team. They're going to have a lot of fun watching them.
Yeah. Plus, I like their 2 young big men together, and so yeah, I agree with you. No, the narrative right now, which I totally subscribe to, is that isn't he lucky though that he's going to a team that will not demand that he be the man, that he will take advantage of this range of skill to fit in with experienced guys. And so often, obviously, we know the nature of the draft has been, you go to a crappy team because they're the team that got the draft by virtue of them being crappy the year before. But Dallas is not that conventional kind of crappy team to get him. And so it's good for him. And I think he's going to benefit from the coach. I think the coach will really appreciate him and help bring out the best in him, Jason Kidd. So yeah, it's a dream for Dallas, and the whole idea, the conspiracy theory will reign if he has a big year and they have a big year. Or oh boy, will the conspiracy theorists be going out of their mind about the whole juxtaposition from the Luka Doncic trade to the ping pong balls falling.
Had to pay back the Mavs. Pay back the Mavs. Thanks for taking the bullet.
So Anyway, now the big story, as it turned out, since everybody knew there was zero intrigue about the number 1 pick, and it was pretty much the zero intrigue about the number 2 pick. Everyone had tabbed Dylan Harper going to the Spurs, but what was going to happen to Ace Bailey? And Ace Bailey got, what do you think, Jeff? Shock of his life?
I don't think he was happy. I don't think he knows where Salt Lake City is. So, but he got to number 5. And, the word obviously was that his agent, a small-time agent named Omar Cooper, was trying to basically say, we're not working out for any of these teams because we want to make sure he goes where we want him to go. And the Ainge duo of Danny and his son Austin said, the hell with that. We ain't letting him get beyond 5 because we're a small market team and we don't get talent like this every day. We are going to draft him and we'll see what happens. And maybe we'll trade him down the road because if it's smart, right? They know that. Like, you're going to put up numbers. They're not going to be good next year. You play Ace Bailey a ton of minutes and he puts up numbers. There might be some empty numbers there. And then you've got an asset and you say all the right things. And again, as I told you guys the other day, Ace Bailey unto himself, a lot of people I've talked to around him, most people will say, good kid, loves the game, little immature, but like not a bad kid, just hired the wrong representation. And he didn't hire him. I'm sure his mother, or, somebody in his family hired this guy, Omar Cooper, who kind of screwed the thing up. But ultimately, he'll report to Utah because he's got no choice. What's he going to do? Sit out?
Yeah.
What's he going to do? Say,
right.
Like, Danny Ainge is smart enough to know how this game is played. He may not report for a week or two, and then Danny's going to tell Austin, just sit tight. Don't do anything. Eventually, he's going to come here because otherwise, what's he going to do? Sit out his rookie year? Imagine how bad that looks.
Hey, I like Danny's second pick, too, at number 18.
Yes.
Walter Clayton Jr.
Yep.
He was hard to miss during the tournament, and I think that's a nice pick at 18. I'm thinking Fred VanVleet. That's all. I don't know why I'm just him.
Yeah, no, similar. Not as much of a point guard, but tough, undersized, similar body. Both can make shots. Both don't show a lot of emotion, but they're just tough MFers.
Jeff, is there somebody in that first round, you got your eye on, you kind of like the guy, you was your guy kind of, and you're going to be interested to see how he makes out, but you got a guy?
I think Jason Richardson, Jason Richardson's son at Michigan State, the freshman going to Orlando, is a great fit because, Orlando, you got Paolo, you got Wagner. They just traded for Desmond Bane, a shooter. They need another option, a guy who can put the ball on the deck and make a play and take a little bit of pressure off those guys. He's small, and that's why he slipped to Orlando. But I think he's perfect for that team. And again, giving him maybe a fourth option and a guy that can play with the ball in his hands, learn how to play the point a little bit more. But I really like that pick.
Now, this guy caught my eye on a couple of occasions. And he just did. And of all the guys, I didn't see most of these people naturally or have no recollection or feel for the great preponderance of the first round for obvious reasons. But the one guy that caught my eye was, hey, whoa, Asa Newell at Georgia, the freshman center.
Yep. I
liked what I saw about him. He's gone to Atlanta at 23. I'm just saying, that's a guy, that's my one that I'm going to be keeping an eye on to see, what happens. I'm just kind of curious about him.
Yeah, I saw him play in person a couple times this year. And, 6'9", 10, high character. He's kind of like a Nick Claxton type a little bit. Energy, plays hard. Defense is ahead of his offense right now. But he'll definitely, with Porzingis and Newell, like two guys that they bolstered their front court for sure.
For those of you listening to this show, we ask that you subscribe to the podcast, like and leave a review. And for those watching the show on CLNS, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe to the Celtics All Access YouTube channel, where you can find our show and a lot of other great Celtics content. Also, please make sure to turn on your notifications So you know the instant a new video drops. Now let's get back to the show.
Have your sources, which are so numerous, got any intel on Hugo, our boy?
I don't know a lot about Hugo. Yeah, I know preseason some people thought he'd be a top, lottery pick, and he fell off. But, I think what you can say is everybody expected Brad Stevens to take a big at 28. And the one thing Brad's not going to do is he's not drafting a young guy based on need, not at 28. He's just going to take a guy who he thinks can make the team. And I would expect Hugo to make the team next year. I don't know how much he'll help because they've got a lot of guys on the perimeter right now. So, but it's worth a flyer on an international guy like that, because you got to remember the big difference in this draft, guys, is late first round and all of second round. If you were in that range, whether you're an international guy or a college guy, most guys were going to college. A lot of the international guys were going to college because they were making $1 million, $2 million, even upwards of that to go to college this year because NIL exploded this year. Same thing with all these kids that were in that range going back to college instead of keeping their name in for the draft. So the second round, talent-wise, was not nearly what it's been in recent years. And I wouldn't expect a lot of those guys are not going to stick because, again, there were about 20 of them, probably more, but definitely 15 or 20 of them that, again, would have stayed in normally, but they got paid $2 million instead of having to take potentially a two-way for 500, 600 grand.
Well, the numbers work in that regard. Jeff, do you think, other than Dallas, can you, I don't know, claim a winner in the draft other than Dallas?
I mean, San Antonio did a really good job. I mean, again, they had Dylan Harper sitting there for him, and then they got Carter Bryant at 14. I like those two guys. Carter Bryant from Arizona, freshman, can shoot it, 3-and-D guy. Dylan Harper doesn't really fit with what they have because he's not a great shooter. You put him with De'Aaron Fox and Steph Castle. Those are three below-average shooters, but they have talent there. They'll make another move at some point to get a shooter. They'll move one of those three guys probably by this time next year, and that'll put San Antonio, if they make the right move, maybe in contention because Wemby will be a year further along. And I think Harper will be a good player. So I think San Antonio's a winner, getting Carter Bryant too, who can really, really shoot it.
All right, here's my existential question emanating from the entire season, including the college season and the NBA season and the draft. How do you explain, out of context, that a college team can produce 2 in the first 5 in an NBA draft and fail to play 500 basketball?
So they were the wrong players, and Bob's talking about Rutgers with Dylan Harper going 2 and Ace Bailey going 5. They were the wrong players at the wrong time for the wrong coach. So Steve Peichel is a hell of a basketball coach. He's a ball coach, though. So if you threw those guys at him and said, coach him 5 years ago, he would have been fine. But Ace Bailey and Dylan Harper, in this day and age of social media, of NIL, of all that stuff now, I think it was the wrong time to put those guys with Steve Peichel as the head coach. And they didn't have enough around him. They used all their NIL on those two guys.
Okay, That's an answer.
There you go. Guys, yeoman's work. You've been listening to the Bob Ryan, Jeff Goodman, Tanguay along for the ride, and boy, was he along for the ride today. Podcast here on the CLNS Media Network. The show is brought to you by PrizePicks, North America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. Download today and use code CLNS to get $50 when you play 5. PrizePicks, run your game. Okay, Jeds, next week. Talk to you then.